Hello, guys. Today, I would just like to share why Bitcoin is probably could be the biggest store of value and why it could be the most valuable asset of all time. So before we just begin, just let's try to just look back at the history of our money, right? So it all started with the barter system of money, right? I mean, we used to exchange cattle for grains and etc., so on and so forth. But this system of money was actually perishable, and it was not divisible. And if someone have to actually just exchange like 100 cattle for just maybe 1,000 grams of grains or something like that, that was totally unacceptable. I mean, that was like absolutely crazy, right? I mean, you have to potentially have a lot of fear of losing them, and it was actually perishable and so on. And then later on, as the society progressed, probably 2,000 years ago, people discovered as golds and silvers and other precious metals as a form of money. So anything which is supposed to be called money has to have certain properties, like it has to be rare, it has to be appreciating in nature, right? And also, most important thing, it should be easy to exchange. It should have a universal store value or universal acceptance value, and that was gold and silver was all about. And that's why for over 2,000 years or around the world till 1800s, right, we used all gold and silver backed tokens. But then something amazing happened. The world started to take a bigger shape, right? And it was so difficult for people to actually move gold bars around from one place to another. And that's when the Medicis and the banking system came into picture, which we typically call it letter of credits or bill of lading, right? So the job of whole bankers was that they acted as a custodian, essentially, by providing guarantee for every single transaction. So let's say with British East India Company into India and so on and so forth, right? If someone has to export any products from India, they would actually go to British East India Company, deposit the gold, and they would actually get in some paper note of money, which was essentially your letter of credit or a proof that you own this much amount of money, and this is the credit guarantee which you have submitted. And that was for the first time in history people started to use essentially paper form of money. And all these, essentially what started to happen is that because of this centralization, these banks became more powerful. In the Europe, Medicis took over, and the entire society started to progress as well. And even in the United States, right, there were more than hundreds of banks, every bank issuing their own currency, which was something like Wells Fargo gold dollar, Wells Fargo silver dollar, and so on and so forth. But for some time this system was absolutely honest, which means that for every single dollar or every single rupee which was issued, there was equal amount of gold backed into the system. And as these banks grew more and more stronger, these governments and these guys actually realized, and most importantly also, there was unification of kingdoms, right? The entire states in India, which was diversified, actually was brought into one country, right? So hence, with more unification, and there was challenge to maintain more and more actually currency notes and money, the system was actually facing certain challenges. And also the most important thing was that a lot of these banks, they actually went bankrupt, like literally. Think of 1930s World War, where actually the deposits holders were actually just went to the bank all across the world, because the World War I just broke out and it was just about to end in the mid 1930s, and every person wanted to have money, right? So all the commodities like stocks and etc. was almost invaluable. The entire world markets actually just collapsed, and most importantly, these banks failed to cash out the people. Do you know why? Because every single time whenever a bank takes money from the people, they actually lend it out against certain collateral. And in certain crises like we have today, COVID and any other pandemics, or probably World War II, they won't be able to cash out depositors, because 80 to 90% of their money is against issued back against mortgages and in circulation. So which means that if even 10 to 15% of the deposit holders would go to the bank and ask for money, they would just absolutely collapse. And also, these banks, from 1900s, they actually started to have more and more power, and then government realized that this centralization could cause them trouble, so they decided to also kill most of the banks. So there are a lot of conspiracy theories where JP Morgan, Goldman, Carnegie Mellon, like there's one big institution, BNY Mellon, Morgan Stanley, all these guys in the West, they actually emerged, and they actually started to decide and become like a form of cartel system, and decided to kill all small financial systems around the world. And this actually led to a lot of great crises, like there were Great Depression, and then there was World War II, and then there was again a crisis in 1970s, and so on and so forth. So after the World War II, the entire world was in debt, and it was the first time in history in 1930, I would say 1930, 1931 exactly, where United Kingdom announced that no more introduction of actually fiat form of money. So fiat is actually, if you look at the term fiat in the dictionary, it would say that it just probably something useless is actually called fiat, and which is not backed or guaranteed by anything, right? So essentially, what means that every single pound which was issued was no more backed by the gold, which means your money became absolutely worthless, and because of it the society lost like billions and billions of dollars. The money actually deflated rather than actually the money actually got, the economy got started to suffer with inflation. Hence your money, whatever value you had, was actually not equal to which supposed to be. And this and again the Bretton Woods system, where even US announced that no more dollar is actually backed by gold and silver. Now imagine in one single shot where you believe that all of your money is actually backed by gold and silver, you just lost it all just because of banks, just because of centralization. And this is just also happened in 2008 crisis, right? So the government basically wants to print more and more money. So just in COVID, to prevent the worst crisis ever and to prevent the liquidity crisis, the government like Fed banks, European National Bank, they have just ECB, right, European Central Bank, they just have been printing money just to solve the liquidity problem, which banks so can actually cash out people when they go and actually want it. Otherwise, the whole world would collapse. But now, what's up with Bitcoin, right? Why do we need Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is a money which is exactly mined on the internet like you would mine gold, and there is a cost of production for producing a money. It's not like a fiat form of money which can just be produced with just printers and some pile of paper. So if every single time there is actually a limiter on the Bitcoin, so not more than 21 million Bitcoin could exist, and it's a deflationary currency. By means, what I mean is that with more, as the time passes by, the circulation of Bitcoin would get reduced, and with more and more miners actually coming into the picture, this would actually increase the price of a Bitcoin, because the cost of producing a Bitcoin would increase. As I said you that you have to mine Bitcoin on the internet using servers, and these servers are quite expensive, which means that there is a cost of production going behind every Bitcoin essentially produced, right? And the last Bitcoin will come into existence in 2140 because of halving effect. So let's say today, if on a single day, like let's say for example, you could probably generate about 2,000 to 3,000 Bitcoins, right? After 4 years, this will just get reduced to 1,500 Bitcoins. But the miners will keep on increasing, and that has actually happened since the evolution of Bitcoin, right? Hence, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer money. It's a form of value. I could actually exchange Bitcoin across any currency all around the world. It is actually a global basket of currency and backed essentially by, not backed, I would say, but since it's traded against, dollars, pounds, euros, Indian rupee, etc., which means Bitcoin has got a global value. So if I'm hedging my money against Bitcoin, which means essentially I'm also hedging my money against all the fiat currencies. So let's say for an example, right now the US dollar is like at all-time high against Indian rupee, and it is bound to touch 80 rupees, right? So if I've invested in Bitcoin, right, essentially I would get that benefit as well, and I could cash out in dollar whenever I want. It's a global currency without dependence on banks. It is for the people, by the people. And hence, Bitcoin has been increasing because it has a cost to produce. It's just exactly like mining gold physically, but nobody knows whether gold is actually limited in supply or not. But I know for sure that Bitcoin is absolutely limited. Hence, I hodl Bitcoin, long Bitcoin, and short banks, guys. So if you have any other questions, any other doubts, you could essentially post in the comments below, and I would happy to answer. And in fact, we are doing a lot of free webinars with our initiative, Indian Blockchain Institute, around blockchain, cryptocurrencies, just for create a vibrant community who is actually can understand the potential of these technologies from so many different aspects. And even Bill Gates called it Bitcoin as technological tour de force, which means that, guys, Bitcoin is here to stay. It's the next biggest form of money. And PS, if you're trading Bitcoin to something, it's at your own risk. This is not an investment advice. So long Bitcoin, short banks. And also there are amazing other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which you could probably research about it. And just let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions. Thank you so much. Cheers and take care.